healthcare is typically fee for service. That means that every time there's a service, there's a fee. So naturally, there's going to be tendencies to want more and more service because it leads to more fees. And so what direct primary care said, it moved out a whole bundle of primary care services into a membership model. And so now patients pay an affordable monthly fee to access their family doctor, get a list of these number of services, and now there's no fee for service transactions. And now those uncomfortable incentives go away, and now the patients just get to have that relationship with their doctor as part of their membership that they're buying. They're buying their healthcare in a better way.
Before we get into this episode, I just had to jump on and say thank you so much for making our podcast one of the top 5 in all of Arizona. Super cool. And if you enjoy this podcast, please make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of our future episodes. And you can find us on all podcast platforms. Thanks for watching.
This is The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Whether you're a seasoned real estate expert, a first-time home buyer, or if you're simply passionate about hearing small business stories, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we dive deep into the world of real estate and beyond.
Well, welcome to episode 40 of The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. I'm your host, Janine Igliani, and my guest today, and actually I was thinking about this, I should really call you Dr. Matt Ross, right?
No. On the podcast, it's just Matt. Just Matt.
Well, thanks for being with us. I'm excited to jump in and have this conversation. And it's funny because I think people may think like dentistry, like, oh, really? But I love it. And I feel like there's a lot that we can talk about. And what I feel like is really cool is what you're doing, because you're doing something totally different, bringing something totally new to the industry. So I'm excited to hear about that. But before I do, will you tell us about yourself, Matt?
So my name's Matt Ross, and I grew up here in Gilbert, Arizona. I was the oldest of 4 kids. Saw Gilbert change a lot over the years.
You're like rare because there's so many transplants that live here.
Yep. I've seen, we've seen it grow, Agritopia and the Epicenter, and, I was close friends with that family that started that all. So it's been really cool watching it grow. Oldest of 4, grew up in a Christian home, went to school here, fell in love with the health sciences.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to a small school called Surrey Garden Christian School early on, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I ended up finishing in a Chandler school called Valley Christian. So that was my high school experience.
Okay.
And then I transferred. So I fell in love with the health sciences. I had a couple uncles that were physicians, and I kind of saw myself going into medicine, and then I heard about dentistry. I had a really good relationship with my dentist growing up. He did some work on me as a high schooler. I didn't even know what dentistry was, and it made an impact on me. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, my social life. And so that was cool just to see that change. And I love that. I love that dentistry was still outside of the real corporatization of healthcare. So you could still be independent. You could still be like, self-employed, doctor-driven, and not have quite as much as the corporate regulations, breathing down your neck. And you could own your own business, which was really enticing to me. So then I traveled out to California and went to undergrad, got my bachelor's in biology and chemistry out in Costa Mesa, California.
Where?
At Vanguard University.
Okay,
Yeah. So fun place to live. Got a little taste of the California life.
Yeah. That's where I'm from. So yeah.
That's right. And then I was excited to come back and go to dental school here in Arizona. So I went to school up in Glendale, which right about moving back is when I met my wife, Jen. And pretty cool story.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So I had a best friend whose also name was Matt growing up. We were very similar, and he was dating another girl, and we went on a road trip. Matt was living in Colorado at the time. So we went on a road trip to go visit him, and his girlfriend's twin was Jen.
Oh.
And I met her on this road trip and, fell in love with her right away.
Love that.
And it was really cool. And so, we came back, eventually got engaged. Eventually they got engaged, and
That's
and
cool.
yeah, now we're married to twins, and we still hang out all the time.
I was going to say,
so
I
it's
bet you
fun.
guys are like super duper close.
We are.
And
we
that's
are.
so funny that they're twins and you're both Matts.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, we're very similar in interests. So yeah, that's been real sweet. We have now 4 kids.
So really quick,
Mm-hmm.
when did you get married in relation to when you were in dental school? Is that what
Yeah.
they call it? Dental school?
Yeah, dental school. Yeah, yep. So we started dating right before dental school started, and then we were engaged We were engaged after 10 months of dating. So engaged in my first year of dental school, and then married in my second year of dental school.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome.
So that was sweet.
Yeah. So go ahead. So you were saying, sorry, I interrupted. So
Mm-hmm.
you got married and then finished dental school. When did the kids come?
Pretty quick. Yeah. So we had our first child, our first year into marriage. So I was still in dental school when we had our first child. And then we had our second child shortly after dental school.
Okay.
And now we've got 4.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are their ages?
So my oldest is 12. And then we've got a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and then now a 3-year-old.
Fun.
Yeah. So boy, and we got our girl.
I love it.
Yeah.
And are you done?
We're done. Yeah,
Okay.
we're done.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any of them interested in dentistry?
No.
No.
No. I think as a kid, the idea of dentistry is just really weird.
There's so many like fun, like little dentist kids and stuff. I would imagine that they would want to like play and pretend, or no?
They did when they were little.
Okay,
And then
okay.
when they got some common sense, they said,
They're
no,
like,
this is
no.
weird. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you knew that that was what you wanted to do, like from a young age, and then just like went for it.
Yeah. That was interesting. It was kind of just over a weekend, senior year of high school. And so, I mean, that was obviously really sweet to just be like, this is what I want to
Yeah.
do, and pursue a path, and like
Yeah.
not have the multiple curves.
Yeah.
Although that's fine,
Yeah,
you know.
for
But
sure.
it was sweet to just to have like that
I love
direction
that.
and
Yeah, and
clarity
just
on
feel
what
like
you
this
wanna
is
do.
what I want to do.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about, and you kind of mentioned it, is not only are you a practicing dentist, which is its whole beast, but then you also are a business owner.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was kind of interesting how that all fell into place. So graduating dental school, a common path is coming out and working for somebody else. Eventually maybe gaining the confidence to go and buy or start, a practice on your own. Most dentists, not all, but most dentists kind of have a dream of like, hey, I want to have my own practice and have kind of my hands on everything and my vision, and which is awesome. I happened to meet my current business partner like right at the end of dental school, and I was out looking for a job, and I met up with him, and we just really had similar interests. We aligned really well. Next thing you know, he was like, hey, do you want to buy half my practice? And I was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I look back and I was like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Like going and buying in with somebody you just met.
Right.
And, common sense tells me like, hey, I wouldn't
Right.
recommend that to
Yeah.
somebody. But we've had an incredible partnership. Like,
I love that.
We've worked really, really well together. I've learned that that's not common.
Yeah.
Business
I'm sure.
partnerships can be hard. But we've just had a really, really great relationship and done really, really well together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think about that sometimes in the big decisions I've made in my life where they were literally like life changing, right? Where you're on this course and now you make this decision and now you're going this way. And I look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, if I would have like really analyzed it, I probably would have made a different decision, but I'm so glad I did, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just
Yep.
have to take that step and just, if it feels right, go for it.
Yep. Totally.
Okay, so let's talk, Matt, about what you're doing today. And what does your business look like today? I'll let you like kind of take that.
Yeah. So, as we rewinding, so I joined the practice. I start practicing as a dentist, really focusing just on clinical skills. In the traditional model, our practice was like many others. And what I learned quickly is that, dental school teaches you various ways to do things, and they really want to teach you how to be conservative and proactive and preventive. And then you get out in the real world as a practicing dentist and you're like, none of this is possible because of like the influences in various things, as we'll talk about. The regulations from insurance companies, the pressures to drive revenue in a dental practice, like all of these things form the way that you practice and really dictate the types of treatment that you can offer your patients. And unfortunately, what I felt and what I learned is that it's just not the most ideal way, and that, like many things in healthcare, there's some good and there's just a lot of bad. And a lot of it is just the pressure of regulations in the system that currently exists today, is that you just have to conform to that system. So, give you an example of what that would be. Most patients know what a filling is in a crown. Most people know a filling is smaller, a crown is bigger. Filling is cheaper, a crown is more expensive. And in dental school, they teach you like maybe 3 different things in between that are available services that are more conservative, maybe less expensive. And you get out in the real world, and insurance says, I don't want to pay for that. And so you just say, well, I can't offer that to my patients. And so then you're just really forced to a smaller, number of services that you can offer. And then you have the pressures as a practicing dentist and as a business owner, thinking, okay, there's dollar amounts tied to these procedures. And that just inevitably leads really great people to maybe make decisions based on dollars. And when we're making healthcare decisions based on dollars, we're just not thinking rightly and thinking about the patients.
Totally.
So, I felt that, but I was just like every other dentist, just walking, running,
This
running.
is what we do.
This is what we do. Just running through the hoops. And, and patients feel that, they would sit down in the dental chair and meet me for their first time. And there's just this this barrier, like, I don't know, what are you going to tell me I need? What are you going to sell me? Yeah. What are you going to sell me today? And it's awkward. It's just like, it's awkward for the dentist. It's awkward for the patient. If the dentist doesn't convince the patient to do something, the business doesn't make it. If the patient, is skeptical, maybe they don't get the right care that they need. And so there's not an alignment of like interest and goals, because there's just potential for incentives that are just inappropriate in healthcare, I believe.
Yeah. I relate to that in my real estate world, in that so many people have a lot of misconceptions, and I will even say maybe like reality, maybe truth of what realtors are about and all of that. And so often when I meet with people, it's having to overcome their like preconceived notions of who I am, and having to like build that trust and that relationship with them so that they can trust me. And I imagine it's a lot easier in my world because I am face to face having lengthy conversations, whereas it's maybe not like that for you. So it takes a little bit more time and is a little bit harder to overcome that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's also so much, I don't know what you would call it, but like even for me, and I hear this from a lot of people, just like, we hate the dentist. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
We hate going, maybe we had traumatic experiences, like in my case as a kid, that like scarred us. And so it's such a like anxiety inducing experience, you know?
Yeah. It's uncomfortable. It's expensive. And
you're like, what are they going to tell me I need now?
Yep. It's the never ending cycle of care. What are they going to find today? And, and do I really trust this guy? And it's not hurting right now.
Right.
So like, that's all I can perceive as a patient. Is it, do I have a symptom? No, So it just, it leads to reactive care rather than proactive care.
Interesting.
And I can understand why as a patient. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of complexities in the current system. So fast forward to today, I can talk a little bit about kind of what I've aimed to do to solve some of these problems. I'll give a couple descriptors so I can kind of define this new type of dental care. If anybody has heard of their primary care physician, their family doctor, switching to a membership model, you have some sense of this new type of healthcare. So the term stems from what's called direct primary care. It's called DPC. It's essentially where primary care physicians got tired of the insurance barriers and regulations that were put on them, and they said, hey, we're primary care. Like, this is simple stuff. We're writing prescriptions, we're treating colds. Like, do we really need to be bundled under this realm of catastrophic insurance? So as we know, catastrophic insurance in medicine is really important because you could have really, really high dollar claims. And so you have to be able to insure against those major catastrophes. But primary care, the physicians really said, hey, we don't necessarily belong under that umbrella. And what if we pull that out and we're able to have patients access care in a more affordable way and get more time with their doctor and have higher quality for less cost? And so direct primary care came about and said, okay, let's pull primary care out of insurance. And so I got to work alongside of a direct primary care company a number of years ago, my good friend's company, and watching him work and build out this model, I was just so intrigued by it. And I said, hey, this is so different. And what he taught me is he said, healthcare is typically fee for service. That means that every time there's a service, there's a fee. So naturally, there's going to be tendencies to want more and more service because it leads to more fees. And so what direct primary care said, it moved out a whole bundle of primary care services into a membership model. And so now patients pay an affordable monthly fee to access their family doctor, get a list of these number of services, and now there's no fee for service transactions. And now those uncomfortable incentives go away, and now the patients just get to have that relationship with their doctor as part of their membership that they're buying. They're buying their healthcare in a better way. And so, I said, man, as a dentist, dentistry is really not catastrophic. Generally there's not, $100,000 claims.
Right.
It's generally, smaller things to maybe more like smaller, medium things. And then I said, and I also don't love how dentistry is paid for in fee for service. What if there was a better way to pay for dental care and remove those uncomfortable misalignments of the patient feeling like I've got to pay for more and more and more service. And do I really, really need this?
Or also, I would say maybe picking and choosing what they do based on the cost of it. Because
Absolutely.
I can't do this, I can't get this medical treatment that I need because it's so expensive or whatever, right?
Yep.
Or it's not covered or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. The patients make their decisions based on cost, and then the dentists make their decisions sometimes based on cost too. And so why should we let cost drive the right type of care?
I love that.
So that's where direct dental care came. I really coined that term and said, hey, I love this model. Would it be appropriate in dentistry? And after wrestling with it for a number of years, I'm like, yes, this is what I believe is the future. And I'm going to work as hard as I can to try to prove that. So really we became the first model in the country to operate in the direct care model.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
It is cool. It is pretty cool to say in Gilbert, Arizona, hey,
Yeah.
we're the first in the country to ever operate under this type of model.
Amazing.
So it's, it's just, we took a leap and it's been really, really sweet. So our journey has been awesome. We have the opportunity to both serve individuals and families and work with them directly, as well as with employer groups as their employee benefit.
Okay.
Versus giving them that dental insurance plan that
Right.
everybody in the world offers.
Yeah.
They can offer something truly unique and truly high value. And then their employees just get to benefit from that and thank their employer for, hey, this is a way better valued benefit than I used to be getting.
Amazing. So tell us about, I'm sure as you're doing this, are other dentists reaching out to you? What are you doing? Is this growing? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yes, we are growing. We are growing in both member size and in location. So we're excited to say we just launched our second location last week. So
tell us where your first one is and where your new one is.
Yeah. So our first one is in Gilbert, Arizona. So I've got a great partner here. We partner with the location on Belle Vista and Queen Creek. Dr. H is an awesome dentist there. And so he was truly brave and believed in the model to jump in and say, hey, I want to be one of the first providers to operate under this model. And he's just done a fantastic job treating the patients here. And so it's been really rewarding watching that grow and watching him grow and helping each other mutually. And then our second location just launched last week in the Phoenix Biltmore area.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really cool to kind of be able to expand a little bit farther out in the Phoenix area and be able to serve a little bit broader range of people.
Yeah.
And that's especially important with like a company, right? Who
Yeah.
maybe got employees kind of spread out. Like they've got to be able to serve their employees and access
for sure.
the locations.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So what are some of, as you have been developing this, because a lot of people that are going to listen to this are small business owners, entrepreneurs. What are some of the challenges that you faced in setting this up, and how have you overcome that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The biggest challenge is really just being different, because, being the world's first at something is exciting and it's cool, but it's also, it's also hard to be really different because, people are skeptical, and people are so ingrained and educated in the current model. Some people, truly do believe that like they can't even go into the dental office without having a dental insurance. I mean, that's sad. I've heard patients come in with years of neglect, and it's like, what kept you away from getting the care? And they go, well, I didn't have dental insurance. And it's like, oh, did you know you can actually go see a dentist without having dental insurance? And so yeah, just being able to be able to change the current way that things are done, I think is just hard, and trying to innovate is hard.
Yeah, it is hard, but it is hard for a reason. But once you can do it and do it successfully, it's already growing, and that's super cool. And people will hear about it, they'll learn. I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us because you do a lot. I don't know anything about dentistry, but I feel like, dentists specialize in their areas, but one of the things that you do is orthodont. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So personally, starting out, I started practicing 11 years ago, and it was do everything, right? You got to learn everything, do it all. And then eventually you start getting good at various things as a dentist, and you start finding things you just like. And eventually it's like better to narrow in on specific things rather than trying to be so broad.
True.
So I am still practicing 2 days a week today, which I just love it. It's just so enjoyable. I mean, if I could do it 6 days a week, I would. It was very difficult physically as a dentist. Like, it's torturous.
Is it?
Being a dentist. Oh, yeah.
Leaning over.
Oh, yeah. Leaning over. I mean, 5 years into my career, I truly thought that I wouldn't be able to last very long.
Really?
Yeah. That was the hardest part about clinically working, is just, you're bending over like this all day in patients' mouths. And so some people's bodies just can hold it up, can hold up to that. Mine hadn't. I sought tons and tons of treatments. Actually found an incredible coach recently that has physically changed my life. So
tell us.
So I've got there's a great friend in my church that has a really unique way of physical training. So he's a trainer, personal trainer. He does it out of his house. And, I met him, and of course I'm skeptical. I'm like, okay, I've been in the gym, I've done classes, I've done yoga, I've done chiropractic, I've done all these things. Just nothing has worked for me yet. And I've been working with him for almost a year now, and life-changing, like truly life-changing.
Yeah.
And
Are you strength training? Like what's he doing?
Yeah, it's so interesting because it truly is difficult to explain his methodology, because it is actually really, really unique. But it is strength training, but it's just really foundational. So the first couple months, it's like building into a squat. So I'm like, okay, start squatting. Yeah. It's like, no, we have to train your hips to be able to even get close to being able to go into a squat. And it's like, oh, that's weird. Yeah. But I was patient through it, and my goodness, it's been
that's cool.
One of the biggest blessings of my life, to be able to regain my physical,
isn't that amazing?
Physical strength and capability back. Yeah. Because I didn't think it would come back.
Yeah, and you're so young, so
I know.
Just side note, I don't know if you've seen that Netflix documentary. It's called The Blue Zones, and they document all over the world these people that live the longest. And some of the common things were a lot of walking was really big. Yep. Squatting was another one. In the Japanese culture, I forget where this region is, but they sit on the floor and they're constantly getting up, they're gardening. And it's we take it for granted, such a simple thing, but if you can't do it, right? And so to your point, to even do it right, just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't realize how important it was learning the fundamentals of actually being able to go and do an exercise correctly. Yeah. Because I was in the the gym and pushing myself as hard as I can, and I was just making things worse.
Yeah, right.
You know, I just didn't have the right training.
Totally. You didn't know. Let's talk about, because I think this kind of relates, something that I've heard is that the care of your mouth is actually really important to your overall health.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we call that the oral systemic link. So that's the fancy, doctor term for it. But yeah, so what they found is that specifically gum disease is tied with all sorts of inflammatory type diseases like heart disease, cancers, diabetes, Alzheimer's. So all of these, you hear the term inflammation a lot in healthcare. And what they're finding is that inflammation in one source can go aggravate inflammation in another source. So if inflammation in your gums is happening, well, is that going to make inflammation in your heart just start automatically? Maybe not. But if you're already prone to it, or you already have some sort of markers or the start of that, it's going to exacerbate it. And so, the sad thing is that 50% of adults over the age of 30 have some form of gum disease.
Wow.
So, this is rampant. Like, it's everywhere. And it goes back to prevention, right? It goes back to being proactive versus reactive. Well, what keeps a lot of people away from being proactive? It's fee-for-service care and just avoiding the whole experience and process.
Yeah.
So, that's a huge, reason why I want to do this is because we can make it easy for people to get just like the right preventive and proactive care. Then we can help eliminate a lot of these diseases. They're not hard to eliminate, but we just have to be able to see the people.
So can you tell us, Matt, like what are some best practices when it comes to your oral hygiene?
Yeah. There's a few that I really stand by that are kind of like non-negotiables. When it comes to cavities, probably the biggest thing is sleeping with clean teeth.
Yes.
It sounds really simple, but like sleeping with clean teeth. And so people go, well, if you brush your teeth and then you go eat food and then you sleep, you're very highly likely to develop cavities because when we sleep, our saliva like almost turns off. Like our mouth almost goes dry at night.
Yeah.
And dry mouth can really, really lights the fire for cavities. That's a huge one is just sleep with clean teeth.
Yep.
People always go, well, I want fresh breath in the morning, really important. I'm like, it helps other people, but as far as cavities go, like at night is important, especially for the kids.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one. And I struggle with that with my own kids.
Oh my gosh,
like, guys, please just brush your teeth before you go to bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we know this. It doesn't ever change.
Yeah.
Why do I have to tell you every night?
Yeah.
Okay. So brush your teeth at night.
Brush your teeth at night.
After you eat, before you go to bed.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Timing is critical. And so acidity, right? Acidity in drinks. We've got all sorts of ranges. Waters have different levels of acidity. Obviously, you've got, your sodas, your energy drinks at the high level of acidity. It's maybe not as much about the sugar in the drinks. It's a lot more about the acidity in the drinks.
Interesting.
But, one thing to maybe keep in your mind is it's not about necessarily the amount. It's about the time that you're exposed to the acidity. So, my wife used to say, I'm just going to have one soda a day or one energy drink a day as a teacher. But she would open it at 8 a.m. and she would finish it at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And so it's these little sips all day long. It's a constant acidity challenge in our mouth. So our mouth is always kind of going back and forth in the sense of like in the state of acidity versus more of a basic, right? The pH scale, you remember that? So if we can have more time on the basic aspect of the spectrum, we're going to have less likely to get cavities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So brush, acidity, watch your acidity levels and the length of time that you're exposing your mouth to that. What else?
The other, this is the hardest one for people, and it's you got to clean the sides of your teeth.
Oh.
Somehow, right? So when we brush, we're cleaning 2/3 of the tooth.
Okay.
And we're cleaning just the tops and the sides.
Okay.
Or the outsides, but we're not cleaning the sides. And so that's where we find the most issues.
Okay.
Gum disease and cavities is always between the teeth. So, obviously we recommend flossing. That's kind of like the word that everybody hates.
Yes. I love it though.
There you go.
I do. I love flossing.
Good. So find something that works. Some people they're happy to use a water pick and instead of a floss. Like that's adequate. Like find something. Just think about like how are you cleaning like the other third of your tooth that's just sitting there.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I also heard this. I don't know if this is true, but the most successful, like the millionaires, the wealthiest people, they have like these list of like commonalities, and one of them is daily flossing.
Nice.
So I love to floss.
It's a
And
habit.
I tell my kids that, look, if you want to be a millionaire, just floss every day.
It's hilarious. It makes sense, right? It's like people that take care of kind of all aspects of life tend to generally have certain results.
Yeah, right.
And so
Totally.
it all kind of goes
Yeah.
together.
How often should someone go to the dentist and get their teeth cleaned?
2 to 4 times a year. So ideally, we want people to be in the 2. So generally think about it like twice a year is healthy, 4 times a year is if things like aren't healthy or things have like gotten bad and now you're maintaining.
Mm-hmm.
So really the goal is to try to get everyone just to twice a year.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you end up in those 50% with gum disease, you know, you're more likely to be put on the 4 times a year.
Okay.
So get ahead of it before it starts.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. I feel like, I hope people love this, like good health. I love just like good tips for life, you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. What didn't I ask you that I should have asked you?
Oh gosh. Man, you know, I just like, I love these opportunities to just connect with small business owners, you know, like yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's just various collaborations and ways to help each other out.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I love being on here and providing your guests like some value, and
I think so.
And it's just sweet. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, I want to be able to help people, even if it just means like call me up, say, hey, what can I do? You know.
So how do people get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So I mean, you can email me. I mean, my email is mross@rising.dental. That's a great way to get a hold of me. It's rising.dental, not dental.com. Just rising.dental. Yep. We have a unique website domain. Yeah, feel free to email me.
Okay.
And whether you're just a patient, business owner, collaboration, want to do stuff together, I'm happy to help people.
Well, you were really cool because my daughter kind of ties into all of this, had always been at a pediatric dentist. Mm-hmm. And we've been faithful because I didn't want my kids to have the same like traumatic experience as I did as a kid. So I am like religiously faithful with their dental cleanings, and it's always been fine. She's also had 2 rounds of braces. She's my expensive one. Yes. And she's 18 now and went to an adult dentist, and they were like, she needs to have laser gum cleaning. She needs a crown. And we were like, oh, and she just went 6 months ago. Like, how does this happen? And so you were awesome. We came to you for a second opinion, and now you're treating her, and I'm super happy and feel really, really good about it. So
Good.
This will be good.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, trust is a big thing. I mean, it's like any industry. It's like, it's great when we know somebody in an industry because it just automatically has a level of trust, but we don't get that luxury in every area we go into. And dentistry is not commonly an area where you know somebody. And so, you know, again, that kind of goes back to one of these ways that we built the system. Like, how do we just naturally build in trust from the day somebody walks in? I love that. And it's cool because every time a patient walks in our new model, there's just an area of trust. Like, they walk in and they're like, I'm not worried about what they're going to find because it's a part of my membership. Right. And they're just going to do what I need to get done. So
that's super cool.
Trust is really cool.
And then if someone's interested in thinking, you know, I own a small business, I have employees, and this might be something that I would like to offer, they can reach out to you and you can talk to them about that as well, right?
Yeah. I would love that. You know, and I would say, you know, it provides a way of saving your employees thousands and thousands of dollars. So we serve like a local school district here. And I mean, there's, 500 employees almost and families at this employer. And all of these teachers now get to access the dental care that they were never able to afford and access for their entire life. So now all of a sudden their employers like being the hero and saying, you guys can now get all your dental care covered. It's not really costing the employer any more money. Nice. And now the employee just gets all this access to the care. So the employer looks like a hero. They have a reason to stay at this employer. Yeah. It provides more value. It takes a leap of faith as an employer, and I can understand that because it's hard to break away from the status quo. Yeah. It's easy to go buy a dental insurance plan. It's harder to be one of the first brave people to step into a new world and say, yeah, I believe in that. Like, I'm going to go try that out and go provide better care for my employees. Like, there's a sense of risk there, but it's been incredible.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Well, we like to end our podcast episodes with like a speed round. Are you up for like a speed round, like rapid fire questions?
Let's do it.
All right. Favorite color?
Green.
Oh, I thought blue. I was like, it's going to be blue, but okay. Green. I love green.
It's close. It's green or blue, but.
Favorite food?
Ribs.
Ribs?
Baby back
We've
ribs.
never.
Oh yeah.
We've never had
My whole life.
Do you have a favorite place that you get ribs from, or is it like you're at home cooking?
It's funny when I was a kid, I fell in love with my parents took me to Tony Roma's.
Oh yeah.
Like the old steakhouse. And I was like a kid eating
That's
ribs.
awesome.
And I'm like, so ever since then I'm like ribs.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a favorite drink?
Oh man. I like iced tea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just a good old
like a pear flavored iced tea.
Okay,
really
okay.
I don't know.
Do you have a favorite book?
Gosh, a number. I like Simon Sinek has a few good books that have been really good. 7 Habits.
Yes,
that's a great one.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I actually think that is my favorite.
Is it? Yeah,
it is. I read it when I was like 19. And
yeah,
so good.
Yeah, it's so good. The art of influence. There's a good book. And Cialdini, I think, is the author. And like, I love just learning like the psychology behind why people make decisions and stuff. Yeah. And like, it's really fascinating.
It is. I love it. Well, and if you can read, I love reading. I love like being exposed to new ideas, but if it can help you, I heard this thought, actually my chiropractor told me this yesterday. We think like so many thoughts throughout the day, like it's like 10,000 plus or something crazy, right? Like how many thoughts go through our brain, but 95% of them are the same. So it's like, what are you repeating to yourself, right? Like the power of that. And that's what I love with some of these books is it can really retrain some of that you don't even realize you're telling yourself, you know?
I love that. That's cool.
Okay. Do you have a favorite sound?
Gosh.
You better not say the sound of like a dentist.
No. Least favorite maybe. Yeah. I'm going deaf from that. Rain.
What is rain? Rain. Okay.
Rain. We have Alexa like in every room in our house and we say, play rain sounds.
Oh, I love it.
So like all my kids sleep to rain sounds. We sleep to rain sounds.
Oh, I love
know.
it.
Kind of.
That's a good one. Yeah. Do you have a favorite podcast?
Podcast. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. Probably. So there's a podcast called The White Coat Investor. And essentially it was a physician that started really talking just to all different types of white coats, right? So all types of physicians and dentists and everything from like, basic financial management, insurance, like how to not get ripped off, right? And so how to manage things in like your whole kind of financial world and I love that stuff. Cool. I just love learning and not that there isn't a place for everybody, for professionals in every industry to like offer their services, but I think there's just a lot you can learn to do on your own.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Last one, favorite vacation. You guys have done some cool ones.
We've done some cool ones. Yeah. I got 2. So we went to Greece this last summer. That was so fun. That was with the kids. Amazing. And then there was one adult only vacation where I went with some friends to Hawaii, to Kaanapali.
Oh.
No, not Kaanapali.
Well, Kaanapali's in Maui.
That's in Maui. I'm sorry. Kauan'aiki, I think it is.
I don't know.
Okay. My friend's parents had a timeshare resort over there. A bunch of the adults just went. Nice. And it was just so fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to finish this way. If there is someone, a youngster out there listening that's like, I think I might want to get into dentistry. Like, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Gosh, I love that. I would say, find a mentor. Like mentorship in anything is so critical. And it's like I had a great mentor, a business partner early on. And he just helped me jump over so many things that I would have just stumbled on myself.
Totally.
Like learning from somebody that's just done it and made mistakes just bypasses so much.
Right.
And then it's hard, like sometimes for us, just not to be like prideful and want to do it and learn it on our own.
Yes.
Which sometimes that's really helpful. But like if you can learn it from somebody else and bypass that learning curve,
totally,
like, it's helpful.
Yeah.
So I love talking to young kids and being like, it's a great profession. Get into it. Like, let me help you.
I love that.
I would love that.
My dad was my mentor in real estate, and I always say that he helped me get to success a lot faster And so having someone that's done it that I can learn from, like what you were saying, is huge. So
Huge.
well, thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
This was awesome. I appreciate you, and I hope this brings you lots of business. So thank you.
Even if I can just help people, that'd be great.
For sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the Home Selling Team on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify to stay up to date with our podcast.